So today's daily practice is about scripting for your day ahead. This is one of my favorite practices when it comes to manifestation or intentionally creating your day. And the simple concept of it is that you're basically imagine journaling for your day as if it was the end of the day. And as if you're celebrating that the day went exactly as you wanted it to go, but you're actually writing it at the beginning of the day.
Creating a future memory and journaling from it.
Yes. And so I recommend setting your timer so that you can do this in a concise way. And in order to help you focus and to not get carried away with every possibility, to focus on 3 things that you want to happen in your day ahead. So thinking about, okay, if I ended this day and I was feeling really great about it and everything happened in perfect order, what are the 3 things that I would want to happen or come about in this day ahead? It might be certain opportunities that happen. It might be certain conversations that happen. It could be anything that you want. It could be a certain way that you're feeling, right? But focus on 3 and then write about, like I usually start with something like, it all started right after my morning routine or right after I had my coffee. And imagine that you're sitting down before you go to bed for the day and that you're writing about exactly how the day went and incorporating in how those 3 things that you've chosen have unfolded. Maybe what came about, what time it happened, just making up a story, pretending, as if you were writing a script for the movie of your day of how it unfolded.
It's already happened, though.
And the important part is how you felt about it happening. So let's say you're like, I get a $5,000 client. This person paid in full. They ended up sending it to me like around 1:00 that day. And I feel so grateful. I feel so excited to be working with this person. And I just really feel like really in joy and bliss to see how everything just seems to be working out for me.
For me on that, I choose to be a little less specific. So for instance, I would look at it and say how I want the experience of the day to go, but recognizing other people have free will and such like, so I don't control that. But really looking at about how I felt, how the experience of certain things was for me, not necessarily like the parts about, how did it go? It's more about how the experience of it went for me, because there's certain things I can't control. So it's like looking and saying that for me, it's about the experience of going through certain things in the day.
And I think that things might unfold differently, right? Like if I were to do it, I might talk about a client that I had a conversation with hiring me, and that it might actually end up being some other kind of opportunity coming about. And so I feel like it's really about training the body and the mind, kind of priming it with what you want and sort of creating or setting your GPS for the day ahead to see those opportunities, to take those actions, to maybe take that step. And because you've set that GPS for how you want the day to go, I do feel like the mind and body have been primed with what that experience feels like and looks like. And that I think that you're more likely to actually take the steps and the small actions throughout the day because you already have mapped what that's like.
We've given our mind a reference point because our minds don't like a vacuum. So if we I don't know how it's going to go. When we do this, we're almost giving the mind a reference point mixed like the GPS, mixed with a feeling to well, here's one possibility. So that makes it more likely that the mind will follow that route because we've already kind of put a pin. We've already put the GPS that way. So it's about, it's priming the pump of awareness to notice and move towards and accept the outcome that we're writing about here. Now, we won't always get it, but we're setting it as a preference or as a destination.
Yes.
Right. We're at least mapping the destination when we do this.
Most people go into their days not really setting any intention.
They're unconscious, right? And it's mostly the same thoughts.
And so they spend time
as yesterday,
reacting to what happens and what goes on, not really being a creator and in the driver's seat of the day.
And Neville Goddard, I think it was Neville Goddard that said this one, that said there's 2 types of awareness. There's objective awareness, which is the stuff outside of us. So you hear a loud sound, that's objective awareness, attention. Objective and subjective attention. So here what we're doing here is we're no longer we're not reacting when we do this. We're going in, and in our subjective we're giving our subjective attention to what we want.
Mm.
We're coming out of the world already manifest, and we're going in and saying, here's the outcome I want. Doesn't
Yes.
matter how yesterday, doesn't matter how things could have been or should have been, doesn't matter. This is about, okay, today, here's how I want these things, the experience of my day. That's mostly what it's about.
Yes.
It's about the experience of it. Because as much as possible, if we can have control over our experience independently of what's happening, or as much as possible of what's happening outside of us, right? Then it's about saying, then we have freedom, right? Freedom isn't when everything outside of me lines up just so, then I'm free.
Mm.
Because good luck. I would say this is about saying, I'm intentionally giving my awareness to, here's how I want these outcomes or experiences to be in my day. I'm giving my awareness to it, right? We're beginning to flow our consciousness in that direction, because it's all consciousness anyway, right?
Yeah.
So here we're giving the consciousness a new possibility. If not, it's going to want to follow the path of least resistance, which means what we thought, felt, and expected yesterday.
Right.
So this is beginning to, in the beginning when we do this work, and this is why we call this daily practice, we are creating new patterns of awareness so that the consciousness flows down those new pathways of awareness, right?
Stepping into the driver's seat of choice.
Yes. And don't assume that without this, the mind will figure out the best things for you. If that's your intention, maybe. But this is about becoming intentional with our attention.
Programming, like think about it almost as like if you were to program a little robot with some code.
The robot's like, well, what's the code?
Yeah. What do you want me to do?
What do you want me to do?
Yeah.
So just do stuff, So are you sure? Do you want us to do random stuff? Okay. So it does a bunch of random stuff. And we're like, what's wrong with this robot?
People's minds get blown. Like
What's
I
its
feel
programming?
like with a lot of clients, when they start doing this in my own life, when I start doing this, my day always goes better. I always end the day happier and more celebratory, with more wins that have happened because I've actually sat down and said, this is what I want to happen. And these are the 3 things specifically that I'm choosing for
That
my
is
day.
interesting. That is interesting. So if at bedtime you look back on your day, right, and be like the stuff that you scripted about, it is interesting when there's those moments where you go, oh, wait a minute. That's what I'd hoped for. I wrote about that. That is interesting. Right. But it's about bringing our awareness intentionally to things that we want. Coming out of autopilot. That's what we're doing here. We're coming out of autopilot and we're setting a destination. Here's and it's about the experience. It's not about whether you got the job. It's not about whether you closed the client. It's not about that. It's about what is the experience for you. And this is important because if we make it we don't attach our happiness to things we can't control because there isn't much we can control. So it's about, here's how my day went, whether that client said yes or not, or like whatever.
Yeah.
It's about, here's how the experience of the day was for me.
Yeah.
Important.
Yeah. And so go and do this, set your